Cool. All right. Welcome, everyone. Uh, we are big on privacy, so if at any moment you don't want to come on camera and you rather just hit to the chat, or if you want a piece of it edit, please let us know, and we usually do the edits within 2 to 3 days after. Hold on, we got one more coming in. So if you do say something and you want it to be edited out, just let us know. We'll happily remove anything that is said. With that, we're going to kick off today's conversation on international travel and what to think about when it comes to digital privacy. Um, these are little cute AI mascots that we like to create. But today we're going to be focused on safe travels, protecting your body, data, and peace of mind. Our main speaker is going to be James Ray, who is a digital privacy analyst with the Lioness Instincts. And then I'm going to kick it off. I'm the executive director of the Lioness Instincts. So I'm going to kick off with the beginning part of it and then hand it over to James. So for these calls, you're in the right place if you're just curious about what information's out there. You want to be aware of what your digital shadow in the cyberspace looks like. You're overwhelmed with the amount of data that folks are throwing at you, like what to do, what to share, how to control this. And you're just interested in using open source tools to manage your footprint. This is the call for you. If you're not able to, have not been able to attend any of our other calls, we've dived into different areas of digital safety, and it's available on our YouTube channel, which I'll share. Once I finish speaking, I'll share all the links that I'll go through. Who's the Lioness Instincts? Our mission is to empower women to protect themselves in our digital physical worlds. We now live in a world where our digital and our physical are blended. So we need to ensure that folks are aware of how to protect themselves. We use the principles of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and cybersecurity to enlighten all of the hunters in our pride, and we engage in threat risk assessment with mitigation tactics. We are a physically sponsored 501c3 nonprofit under the Hack Club Bank, also called Hack Foundation. And our mission is just together we can awaken the warrior spirit within all of us. And our vision, so we have right now monthly self-defense classes that's ran at my home gym down in Davie, Florida, where we'll do first and last Saturdays of every month a women's focused self-defense. We also do events out, and we're available to do corporate or community operational kind of events. We offer digital privacy with once a month workshops online, including this call itself. And then we're looking for partners and sponsors to help with our career development and financial health. These pieces come together. If you're a victim of identity theft and they've taken most of your money, you're going to need help with the financial, and the cybersecurity field is such a plethora of roles, especially now in the given markets. There's a lot of competition, but we do have partners to help direct you if you're looking or if you want to learn more. Upcoming events, you can check us out on our website. It's thelionessinstincts.com. Our schedules, like I said, we have our first and last self-defense classes, and then we'll have our monthly webinar. Our calendar is updated once a month, so about a month and a half. But you can join our mailing list, and on our mailing list, we send our monthly newsletters, which is an article based on digital privacy that month. Our upcoming events, some of our partner events that are hosted throughout the United States in both digital privacy and physical defense. So if you're not in South Florida and can't make it to one of ours, we share self-defense classes in Philly, Texas, California, and everywhere in between. So check that out. Quick and easy resource tab. This just has minor bullets for different things to start getting you to think about. But we do have an online safety resource for women and moms. One of the sections talks about how to keep your kids safe and protecting them from online predators, and what you can do in the event something does happen, who to contact and how to reach them. With that today, so I'm going to blaze through kind of the physical concepts because I'm just going to show you some items that you can use, why you use it, and share some links of ways to purchase them. And then I'm going to hand it over to James, who is going to cover our digital concepts. Before I move forward, James, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Okay, camera is working.
Yep.
So my name is James, and I'm a cybersecurity analyst. I've been in the cybersecurity field for about 2 years. And since I've started in this field, I've found an interest in digital privacy. I've always been kind of a private person, and learning how much information is collected by various services has really not sat well with me. And I've tried to find ways to make my life more private as conveniently as possible so that I can teach others how to do the same thing. So I'm here today to teach you about digital privacy for international travel.
Thank you, James. Yeah, and I'm Yesenia. I've been in the security field for over 12 years. Right now, I work at Microsoft under AI security and open source software. And I've been in the field for so many years. I've traveled myself internationally by myself. So I've had to think about ways to keep myself safe and alive as I travel into like international areas, conferences, just alone in the world. So I'm very excited to bring this information. There's so much to kind of go over, and the space is so broad. So thank you for being here. With that, we'll kick it off with today's session. We're going to throw so much information to you, so it's going to be very, very overwhelming, and I can understand that. We're going to be sharing tools and techniques that can go from a quick fix, especially in the digital space, to something that might be more advanced, cost more, a little bit more. So we recommend you choose one or two that you'll implement and or purchase and add, and then you can always come back and revisit these to see, what else you have missed and start building on to that. But this is a hygiene that you have to keep flossing and using different tools and techniques. We do have some resources that we can offer if anyone's interested of partnered uh, uh, data, online digital privacy sweeping tools, and I can add those links at the end as well. I've used personally one of them, Operate, to help clean up my digital footprint. So information on how to is on YouTube, and like I said, I'll share some links shortly. First, we'll talk about hotels and Airbnb tools. So why do we consider this? Well, a large number of burglaries happen in hotels. Well, not large, but we have a 4.8, and that kind of is a combined of the 3.9 in hotels. The most alarming thing about this is that hotels and motels are one of the top 5 venues for sex trafficking in the United States, and they usually exploit the fact that hotels and these type of establishments keep some anonymity on their guests. So it helps when it comes to moving all this. There's also 10.5% of sexual exploitation cases that involve hotels and Airbnbs, making them just kind of second common most in after brothels. So I myself have had folks in different areas of the world just walk into my hotel room at different times of the day. So it has happened. It could happen, and might as well just be a little protected with it. So things we'd recommend is a portable lock, and that's the top image up here. You can hook it on the door, have a foot alarm, so when the door opens, it blazes an alarm, wakes you up, wakes maybe the whole hotel. You can also find, if you're going into an Airbnb or a hotel, you have your hidden camera detectors. So it goes around and it'll beep if it finds something. I've found Airbnbs with cameras, and I tend to leave. I also do a check around the facility. I found Airbnbs where there wasn't any lock system in their sliding glass doors, and I was just like, nah, I'm out. And then hotels have a lock, like a safe for you to put your secure, your sensitive information in it. There has been cases, and the hotel has a master key to open it. So there has been cases. I've lost things that have been in that safe before. So usually folks recommend a portable safe that you hide somewhere in the hotel or you carry with you if you have a bag. There's different areas you can put it. Like I said, I'll share the links. We also have a personal safety alarm. This is just if you're walking down the alley, it's late at night, it's blazing, making noise, call attention. A travel door bar. So as you can see in the image on here in the middle, you can either prevent it from the door opening, or If you're in a tropical place, you want to keep a window open. We also noting portable motion sensors, which are here. So if you're renting an Airbnb, you can put it in different locations and see if someone's like coming in from various areas, and then hidden cameras. These prices range. Some of them, I myself like to carry light, so I'll have my personal bag and my carry-on, that's it. So it does make sense that some of these are larger items. So take that into consideration when you are looking at these pieces of safety items. Um, some I take, some I don't, depending on the trip. But that's for you to consider in your discretion. This piece of technology I think is just absolutely amazing. I don't have it yet, but I've seen many folks that have it. And essentially it's jewelry, or a headband, or like a bracelet, keychains that you can use. And it has a chip inside that connects to Wi-Fi or satellite. And if you're ever in danger, you can click it and it'll send out a signal. It'll send out an SOS. You have your phone app that you can connect to, get on live video, let them know that, hey, somebody's following me. Hey, I've been, any case of situation. Maybe, you know, Walmart's a sketchy place and it's late at night and you've had someone that is talking to you about your car. You can call them, be like, I just need someone to walk me to the car, and nobody from Walmart, is capable of doing it. So this device is pretty cool. They even have items for men and women that you can wear. They also have self-defense tools with one of the chips in it. So I thought this was an amazing piece of technology that they've created that I always recommend. And noting from here, it does work in international cases. I would just check to make sure that the company or the satellite is supported in that location and who it would you would have to contact or who it contacts. Because it can call 911 in the US, but if you're in Asia, um, I don't think they're going to get to you very quickly. The next is the signal blocking bags. So this is important because this has also happened to me in Europe, where you're on a train, you got all your items, your cards in like a bag. Somebody walks by and they have a skimming device in their bags, and this insecurity is called war driving. So they'll have a device like in their book bag or in their luggage or whatever, and it's constantly running. And as the individual's moving, it's collecting data as it moves. So when it does that, it'll come by, and anything that has an RFID, it has Bluetooth, any way that it can connect to you in a device, it'll start scanning and pulling whatever information it can from it. In 2022, there's about 1.4 million reports on identity theft. Identity theft happens in various ways, but this is one of the more common ones when traveling, where all of a sudden you're like, I haven't even used this card, but it's my wallet. And now they're saying that, it's being used in Germany. I'm not even in Germany, I'm in France. Because just of the ease of it and how quickly you can send the information, we highly recommend getting these bags if you can just, some of them are very expensive, once again, like the ones I want are pretty pricey, but they block all kind of signals. Like your phone will get in there, pretty much be constantly sending out a beacon and be like, I can't signal anything, versus some of them just protect against some, but they're on the lower. So I would recommend, if you have a family, have one person with that bag and just put most of the information there. So on the left-hand side are some brands that we've seen and we kind of recommend. This is the brand that I would want, but they're on the higher end material. Amazon also sells these at more affordable prices. You have book bags and bags, a messenger bag, you have wallets and passport holders. Our passports now have an RFID chip on it, so somebody can like swipe that information. There's luggages that have extra protection as far as blockers, and as well to not allow TSA to, like, when you have the zipper ones, they're able to open the zipper ones without unlocking your bag. But now they make these other, I think it's just like a Velcro or something that latches on, and they're not able to pierce through. They would actually need to reach you and get consent. You have card sleeves and then phone cases or cases to put your phone in to block the signal. But like I said, these are just some brands and some items to think about. when you're doing this. Slate also has dry bags. So on top of the fact that it's blocking, it's also a dry bag. So if it's raining, all the information there saves. And then the last section would be our international travel checklist. Things to think about that could go wrong. You lose or your passport is stolen. You face legal issues in a foreign country. There's some national disaster. And, this one's more common in today's environment, but we have political unrest or tight borders or just border closures. And then just not registering your travel plans with anybody within the US. That is something that they use when the third bullet happens to be able to trace and look for individuals that are still in there. So I think it is called STEP, so Smart Travel Enrollment Program. So anytime you travel internationally, you can register with them and give them all your details. So if something were to happen, they can have a way to contact you or find you in the event of one of the three in the third bullet. So overall, the checklist is register your travel plans. For the US, there's a STEP program. If you live outside of the US, check with them and see what they have. Recommend making digital and physical copies of your key information. So you can do printouts, copies of your passports. I usually do a printout of my passport, and on there I'll write the local embassy with some contact information in case let's say I lose my passport and my phone. I have that on one sheet of paper. Another option too is to make digital copies and put that on a USB drive that you keep in your luggage in different locations, and then determine where your embassies are. I personally like to get my hotel address and write out or make a printout of directions for my hotel address to the embassy. So in the event I once again lose my phone, I got to figure out how to get to the embassy. I have it available. Things to just think about. Like I mentioned, travel safe for documents and backups. So having the USB, the storage that you can keep some of those in, having an emergency card and contact list, and then if you're in a country that you don't speak the language, having an additional translation or navigation tool if you lose your phone or just rely on your phone in those cases. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to James. He's going to go ahead and share his screen as well. So just give us a moment as we shift. There we go.
There we go. Okay. I don't even know. I didn't change any settings about that, so
just say it was Google.
Doesn't matter how much you know about technology, it always surprises you.
100%. There
you go. See if I can maximize this or if it would just get mad at me. All right, it looks good. All right. So something I just like to leave in these digital privacy presentations are these two slides about what's been happening with our data. I just try and contextualize why we care about digital privacy in the first place. Essentially, information about us has become more valuable than ever. Many people argue that our information about our lives, like where we go, who we talk to, and where we spend our money, is used for companies to advertise to us. And that does happen. That is a good chunk of what's going on. But there's a lack of regulation in this industry where data is collected and sold. So essentially the overarching idea that we're trying to push here is that any organization which collects information about you, whether it be Instagram, your internet service provider, your cellular carrier like Verizon or AT&T, they may not have your best interests in mind when they sell off your data. They may not be doing their due diligence to make sure that your data is being sold to someone with good intentions. And that's kind of the problem here, is that if really precise information about your life is just being sold off to whoever's willing to buy it, you're giving up complete control. And there's no real way that you can estimate what could happen as a result. Nothing could happen. But at the same time, you've opened up a world of possibilities. And data is forever. So if something could happen, it could happen anywhere in the future. And there's no way to really predict it, which is one of the main things we discuss here. So doesn't my data belong to me? No. According to the law in the United States, it does not. This company called GameStation decided they wanted to do a little prank to kind of prove this. is that they wrote up their terms of service so it claims your soul, which isn't actually legally binding because you can't really like sell that. That's not a thing. But the fact is the terms of service define what belongs to you and what doesn't. So when you sign up for Instagram or something, that privacy policy in terms of service is saying what are they allowed to do? What data about you are they allowed to collect? And they are defining that it belongs to them completely. They can do whatever they want with it. So you can technically go ahead and delete your Instagram account. And yeah, they may delete it from the public internet, but that doesn't mean they're just wiping it from their database. Like they still have it. They still have your photos and stuff. A lot of service providers are capable of doing pretty much whatever they want because they can change this terms of service at will. A lot of times they don't need to tell you. Although I have been informed more often when I was getting closer, like getting rid of Microsoft or like my Gmail account. I did see more emails coming in telling me about big changes to terms of service. So at least they're notifying me. But at the same time, it's a very legal jargon that very few people are going to read. I usually don't read it because it's just so much stuff to go through. And a sentence can change the entire meaning of what was ahead of it. So it's really designed to be hard to understand. And in the context of like, if you're worried about your privacy relative to the US government, we are talking about international travel, but this is also relevant to other countries, I would imagine, is that our government does not need to go through due process to collect this information from you. They're letting someone else collect it, and then they're just buying it from Google, Instagram, your internet service provider, your cell carrier. There's been tons and tons of evidence of this happening and a lot of promises that it will stop, and then it keeps happening. So that's why we're here talking about different tactics that you can use to protect yourself, regardless of whether people are trying to collect information about you. So we're going to cover 4 different concepts here. This is specifically for international travel. So a lot of this is going to be about trying to be like temporary, like trying to make sure that any digital signature you generate is temporary and it's only relevant to where you're going. So like we're going to talk about buying a SIM card when you get to your country, your destination, using an operating system for your laptop that doesn't really save anything in the event that customs tries to scan it, a travel phone, a dedicated phone that you only use when you're traveling. So again, if customs tries to scan it, or maybe it just gets stolen, there's not a whole lot of info on there that you're really going to worry about. So the first thing we're going to talk about is Wi-Fi security. This is a big one because a lot of people don't think about it too much. Connecting to unknown Wi-Fi is generally not a great idea. You're joining a network with rules that you don't know about, and there could be rules that allow certain kinds of communication that are unnecessary for you to access the internet, but could be trying to monitor your connection, could be trying to throw malware on your device just because you connected to the Wi-Fi. And especially when we're in another nation, the entire rule book has changed. We have no idea what is really allowed or what people can get away with, what kind of scams might exist. So we want to put an extra layer of protection in place. And thankfully, there are a few tools we can use that are really not that hard to set up. The main one for Wi-Fi is going to be a travel router. So a travel router is just like a regular old router. It's just a tiny version. So you can put it in your little luggage or something, and it runs off of a USB-C port. Like this one right here, the white one above, it charges off the same port as your phone. It does come with its own power supply, but you can plug in your phone charger if you don't have it with you. Like there's a few ways to power it. So the idea of this is that you connect this device to the Wi-Fi you don't trust, and then it generates another Wi-Fi signal that you connect your devices to. So you connect your phone, your laptop, whatever, to this device, and it has an isolated network with rules that you set up, which granted the default rules are going to be pretty darn good. There's a few settings that we recommend on the next page. And especially when you're traveling, the one at the bottom here, this little black router, which with no obvious antennas, that one not only has a battery bank installed in it, so you can run it even when you don't have it plugged in directly, and it runs for about 8 hours. It's a whole day, like it's pretty surprising. It also has a Wi-Fi hotspot, so you can pop a SIM card in there, and this thing can supply you with internet even if you don't have access to Wi-Fi from like a hotspot of a hotel or your coffee shop of choice. So you can use this thing to connect even when you're mobile. So combined with using a good VPN, which we talked about in other presentations, This makes it really, really hard for anyone to intercept traffic off your device. And it also just kind of conceals your privacy when you're moving around the country. Because as a traveler, you're going to be watched a little more. So just some main settings to cover. When you set these things up, you want to change the default Wi-Fi name. Setting it up is just like setting up your home router. If you've done that, it's pretty much the same thing. There's different buttons in different spots, but it's the same overall goal. You want to change the name of the Wi-Fi because it's going to be called GLI Net something, which is the name of the brand. So you want to change it to like Linksys or Netgear, anything that's not what it really is. So someone who looks at it might try and attack it using vulnerabilities for Linksys, when in reality it's a different device. You want to change the password. That's a big one. Set up a long password, ideally 14 characters of just gibberish, or 3 to 5 random words strung together with spaces in between those words. Spaces count as characters. They make the password longer. And actually a passphrase, a assortment of random words, is technically stronger than a password because there's more words than there are letters in the English alphabet. And it's also easier for us to remember. So passphrases are good for just everything, no matter what you're trying to secure, but especially in Wi-Fi. You want to change, if you can, your Wi-Fi security to WPA3. So most of what we use today is WPA2, and it's a type of security that keeps our Wi-Fi from being broken into. WPA2 has been around like 14 years, which is very, very long for anything security related to exist without being changed. And a way to crack it has been around for a long time. And I've cracked WPA2. It's not hard. It's completely reliant on the password strength, and it's actually pretty easy to get through a lot of routers. So WPA3, there's no existing crack for WPA3. It's very, very hard to break into. And if you have phones or laptops that have been made in the past 5 years, they support WPA3. So just change its setting. Your phones and laptops will connect just fine. Turn off 2.4 gigahertz. Wi-Fi has 2.4 or 5 gigahertz. 5 gigahertz is faster, and there's really no point in having the 2.4 on. It's honestly just killing battery. It's pushing a signal that no one's using, and that 5 gigahertz also can't reach as far out. So you're not like broadcasting a signal super far that other people can hear. It goes a little shorter, so it's only going to your devices. And also reduce the transmission power, called TX. I don't know why it's called TX, but it is. Just reduce the signal strength, because especially with the battery one, you're just killing power for nothing. And you're also throwing that signal further for other people to hear, and it's just unnecessary. So those are some big settings to change. The 2 routers here displayed, the Opal is the white router. I selected that one because it's like $40, but it's also really fast. Like, it's a few hundred megabits a second, which frankly is the fastest internet you're probably going to be getting. So this is not going to be a bottleneck. The one at the bottom, the Moody V2, is about $150, but it does come with a built-in battery, a cellular radio. It comes with a lot more extra features that make it an amazing little gadget. And I will be buying one soon because I need one. These things are cool. Oh, by the way, I should have said this earlier, but if you have questions, please ask questions throughout. It actually helps me understand what y'all want to learn. Just want to make sure.
They're welcome in the chat
question
too. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, so for the portable router, I was just wondering, because you said it uses the signal, right, that you're trying to connect to. So how does it do that, if you don't mind? Like, does it segment itself, like, from the actual like network, or how does that work?
So what it does is it connects to an existing Wi-Fi network, the same way that your phone connects to it, but it creates another Wi-Fi network off of it. It's kind of just tethering. It's kind of like just running an Ethernet cord from your phone to the actual internet. You're just putting a wall in between so you can choose who gets through. So it does slow down your internet a bit, unfortunately. But as far as like the coffee shop sees, they just see that someone logged in on the Wi-Fi. They don't know who it is. They see one router on the Wi-Fi. But in reality, you can have as many devices connected to that router as you want, and it shows up as one thing, which also kind of helps obscure like how many devices you have with you. Or if you're traveling with friends and family, they can all connect to this thing and use it as a gateway. And it looks like one device is on the network. But yeah, it's just tethering, where you're connecting you're just bringing a signal through multiple Wi-Fi signals. It's a little weird, but it is a really cool little gadget. And I have used actually my own. I have one that I use at coffee shops. It's pretty cool.
I
Gotcha,
believe
gotcha.
some also connect to satellite signals too, but they might be more expensive.
I think a satellite. I haven't heard satellite ones. Like maybe like what's that thing called? The satellite Wi-Fi.
Starlink, Elon's one.
Yeah, that
Starlink?
He
one.
has.
Starlink.
I
Yeah.
think it's Starlink.
Yeah, I mean, you can get those if you're going to a rural area, absolutely. But the black router here, it uses a SIM card just like your phone does. So that thing connects to T-Mobile. I think actually this one only does T-Mobile. So you can put your phone on airplane mode, connect to this thing's Wi-Fi, and you have pretty much everything you need still. You have internet connectivity. So it's great for traveling and stuff. Does that kind of answer the question? I just want to make sure, like.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
So something we want to talk about here is SIM cards. SIM cards, if you don't know, it's called a subscriber identity module. Basically, it's just the chip that you put in your phone to prove that you paid your bill and you deserve cellular service. Now, there's a little bit of a privacy concern with SIM cards because they are always installed in your device. It makes them very reliable for tracking. Now, what I like to mention here is that this technology does not exist to track you. It just happens to be good for tracking because it has to be in your device for your device to work. And the little code it comes with has to be the same to prove that you paid your bill. As a result, whenever you're connected to cell towers, which for most of us is probably like 100% of the time, we never turn our phones off anymore, you're connected realistically to probably like 3 or more cell towers. And that allows for what's called triangulation. So those towers can each see how strong the signal is going to your device, and they can figure out where you are without GPS or anything. And it's very accurate. Not only triangulation, but especially in the United States, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile have all been found to collect records of text messages and phone calls, which are not protected. As soon as that phone call or text message hits Verizon, Verizon can see the contents of it. There's nothing keeping them from seeing it. And they can also see some of your browsing traffic, any internet traffic on your device. So it allows someone to see a lot of information about you, all because you keep using the same SIM card. Now, when you travel, you're going to probably want a new SIM card anyways. We just want to talk about like some of the privacy considerations around that. Now, unfortunately, these aren't super popular in the United States, but a data-only SIM card is something you can use. It doesn't have phone or text, which are the two like parts of connecting to the cell network that are really unprotected. It only has internet, which is pretty well protected nowadays. It's a lot harder to snoop on an internet signal than it is on like a cell signal. Use a physical SIM card if you can. Now, this is going to be either in your regular phone if you don't want to buy a travel phone, or if you do buy a travel phone, make sure it has an actual SIM tray. You can pop in a real SIM card and take that thing out when you're done. Because a lot of devices now are using like eSIM or vSIM, whatever they want to call it. It's already got that chip in there, and you just punch in the code to activate it. So the concern here is, how do I know the code is completely removed after I delete it? Right? How do we know it's actually gone? If it's a physical SIM card, everything that's important is on the chip, and I can actually take that thing out. I can snap it in half and throw it in the trash if I want to. It's completely gone. So it just gives you more control to make sure that you are actually turning something off when you think you're turning it off. You can use the travel router, especially that the black one where you can pop a little SIM card in there, and it gives you the same capabilities without having to put a SIM card in the phone. So now the phone is not being tracked. That hotspot is being tracked. But the thing is, when you turn off a hotspot nowadays, it's not that weird. If you turn off a phone nowadays, that's pretty weird. So this can give you the ability to just like kind of just cut ties with the network for a bit if you just don't feel like being watched, and then fire it back up when you need it. Because that depends on the privacy rules of wherever you're going. Somewhere like, I believe the UK, they are doing some interesting things right now, and they are completely comfortable telling the world that they spy on their citizens to a crazy degree. So like if you're going there, I would probably want to like guard my privacy way more than normal, because I know they are trying to get anything they can on me, just because that's what they do. I mean, they challenged Apple and they're trying to like turn off privacy that Apple provides. It's really not great. I would recommend using Signal. Again, questions. If you have questions, please let me know. Want to make sure I'm following a route that makes sense. If you haven't heard of Signal, it's a end-to-end encrypted messaging app. It's free. It's honestly one of my favorite messaging apps. It's so easy to use, and everything's private by default. Even Signal does not have a record of your phone calls or your text messages through their app. So if they're subpoenaed, if they're hacked, it doesn't matter. There's no record of who you talked to, what you talked about, anything like that. And if you still need to make regular phone calls or text messages with people, you can use what's called a VoIP provider or voice over IP. So what this does is allows you to use the phone network, use a phone number without actually registering a phone number to your device itself. It's an account, kind of like an email, where you can log onto a web account on your email address and just send people messages just by using the internet. So this means that you don't need a technical cell signal anymore. You can just connect your phone to the internet through Wi-Fi or something, and you can still send text messages. You can still make phone calls. And this phone number is not as associated to you as it would normally be associated when you have a traditional phone number from a cell carrier. These three providers here, of the three, I've heard of MySudo the most. I haven't checked any of them out significantly, but MySudo is probably what I'll be testing out when I get around to it. Let's see what else here. Okay, so that's all for like SIM cards and stuff. What we're going to talk about now is the importance of a clean computer. So when we talk about like a clean computer or a clean phone, the main concern we have here is, especially in the United States, but very likely in pretty much every other country around the world, Customs is allowed to scan your devices pretty much without justification. Now, there's a good reason for this. When they do this, they find a lot of terrorists. They find a lot of people trafficking drugs, trafficking humans, weapons, all sorts of things. So there's a good reason for this type of analysis. The problem is that they don't really need justification to scan your device. And if you say no, chances are you're not getting into the country, period. Now, granted, you do need to do something to get the kind of attention that would make them want to scan your device. At this point, you would be called into secondary questioning. You'd be interviewed and examined, and then they're going to say, you need to unlock your devices for us, and let's plug in this gadget, and it's going to scan them for suspicious files, suspicious programs, things like that. So as far as we understand, there is kind of a bypass to this. And the problem here is that you do have to hand over your information, otherwise you're kind of breaking the law. But what we found is that they're not allowed to check your cloud services. They're allowed to check, at least in the United States, check wherever you're going to be absolutely sure. But in the United States, Customs is only allowed to search the devices that you have with you. So if you have information stored in Google Drive, Microsoft Drive, iCloud, Proton Drive, going to recommend that because they're private and secure host in Switzerland. They also have a great email provider that I love, Proton Mail. They're not allowed to scan that stuff. So you should actually be signing out of these things if they're going to scan your phone, like sign out of all your accounts so they can't scan them on accident somehow. But what we found is that if we just set up a computer which has basically nothing on it, and you just upload everything you're going to need when you're traveling to the cloud, your computer's clean. There's nothing on there. So we're going to go over how to set that up just a little bit. I'm not going to go through the entire setup process because there are some pretty great tutorials online already, but we're just going to talk about like the idea of it. So if you were to let Customs search your computer, or if your computer just gets stolen while you're in another country, it's either way. If your computer gets stolen or gets scanned, there's probably so many more thousands of pieces of information on there about you than you really are aware of. And even files you think you deleted are actually still there. They still exist and they can be recovered. So what we're going to suggest is Frankenstein your computer, which is to say we're going to take out this little drive in the top left called an SSD, which is a solid state drive. That's where your entire operating system and all your files are stored. What you can do is you can take this thing out, put another one in, and then put another operating system in there that's more private, like Ubuntu compared to Windows. Windows really isn't very private, turns out. Mac is better if you're interested in just one or the other, but we're looking more towards a more private tool. an operating system that just gives you a browser. That's all we need. We just need a browser so you can log onto your online accounts and do your thing without actually having to download stuff. So all you really need is 128 gigs, which nowadays is 25 bucks. And like I said, we're going to be using Ubuntu Linux or any other version of Linux that you would prefer. Reason we selected these, most Linux distributions are very private and secure, but they're also very easy to set up and use. So it just works pretty easy. They're all free as well. They're open source. It doesn't require an online account, so you don't have to have a Gmail account or a Windows or iCloud account to activate the computer itself. You just need to set up a username and password to log into the machine itself. That's it. To do this, you're going to need that chip, the SSD, and you're going to need a little like 16 gigabyte flash drive with about 16 gigs of space. And we'll find some instructions to walk you through how to set these things up correctly. I just don't want to go through the entire thing right now. But when all is said and done, on that little drive, you have another operating system. You have just a browser, basically, and a few other tools that allows you to get to the internet. So if you've uploaded all your stuff to Microsoft 365, all your files, all you need is to just log on to your account and you can edit all your files without downloading anything. So you can really just leave this computer untouched the whole time. You're never downloading anything. There's not a lot of records. So if custom scan it, if someone steals it, or anything else could happen, there's not much that's valuable in terms of data on the machine. And then when you get back home, you just swap the SSD back out. You take out the temporary one for traveling, and you pop in your old one, and your computer is exactly like it was before, because everything that matters is on that drive. That's what makes it the computer. Everything else just kind of crunches numbers for it. Does that kind of make sense, or did I kind of go through it a little too fast?
Makes sense.
Okay.
Makes sense to me.
Awesome. So travel phone, this is something that personally I found a little more fun because I've been learning about Graphene OS lately. Travel phone is pretty much the same purpose as a travel computer. We're trying to set up a device that doesn't have much about you on it. So if it is scanned by customs or if it is stolen or lost, you're not losing a whole lot aside from the value of the hardware itself. You're not losing a lot of data. That's really, really important. So you can use pretty much any phone you want to, but when we're looking into something more private, we are looking into a more advanced operating system like Graphene OS. So if you haven't heard of Graphene OS, it's based on Android. It works on the Google Pixel line of phones. And it's basically just Android with tons of security features built in that make it really, really hard for data to be collected about you. It makes it very hard for someone to break into the phone if they steal it from you. So it's pretty much worthless if someone actually takes it. And because we're setting up for one task only, there's not going to be a lot of info value on this device. So kind of like the laptop where it doesn't require a cloud service to log into, you don't need to log into any accounts to get this thing up and running. You just install the new operating system and boot the phone up, give yourself a PIN code, and you can still access the internet. You can make phone calls given you pop a SIM card in there. And you can do most things without a Google account. Actually, you can use a service that pretends to give you a Google account, like as a proxy. So you can download apps from the App Store without having to actually log into any Gmail accounts at all, and really separate what you're doing on this device from your regular life. So this is kind of like the 30,000 foot view. Ideally, if this were to be like the highest level security we're doing, this is something that I might do, if I felt like messing around. You might want to use that travel router right there. And again, you can connect it to public Wi-Fi. You can also just connect it with a SIM card to a cellular network when you land in your destination country. Your phone and your laptop, don't ever connect them to the Wi-Fi nearby you. You always connect it to that router. And that's how you get to the internet. And on both your phone and your laptop, use a VPN like Molvad is going to be a great one, or Proton VPN. Both of those are really good. So your Signal is obscured. It's hard for anyone to see who you are. Your SIM card is temporary. Your devices really aren't that valuable. Someone steals them or scans them. Everything about you is trying to be like obscure and temporary so that your information is only really worth something to you, not really anyone else. And that's all I've really got there. If anyone has any questions.
No, I think I'm good.
All right, awesome. I have some links for how to set up Graphene OS on YouTube. Naomi Brockwell does an amazing job of walking through how to set it up correctly and makes it pretty much as easy as setting up a regular Android phone. I'll make sure to post that link right in here in a second.
He posted a link. Thank you everyone for joining. If there's any things particular you would like us to cover in future events, feel free to just message us at info@thelionessinstincts.com. Put it on the chat. Find us on LinkedIn and message us there. We're available and open to, help you determine what kind of digital safety or physical safety tips and tricks you need in this new age and world.